It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I had the privilege to interview the Wofford football running back coach Dane Romero. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start coaching?
Yeah, it's always been kind of instilled in me. I mean, I think it's the fire to always teach and get people to understand the big picture, and the competitive part about football has always been something that I've always wanted to do. I think as a player, I kind of came out and I was more of a coach than I was a player, even when I played. So I think that kind of played a role in it as well. But it's always been something I've wanted to do.
Can you talk about where you played at?
Yeah, I played at Wofford. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. West High School. When I graduated there, got right into coaching. But my experience there as a player was phenomenal. I got to play for some really good head coaches. I actually was able to play for Coach Conklin when he was there as well as a defensive back coach. Coach Ayers was the head coach there for 30 plus years, and I was able to play for him as well as Wade Lang, who was the offense coordinator the whole time Coach Ayers was there and still the offense coordinator now. So um, it was a great experience for me. I got to be around really good people and kind of the people that you butt yourself up with if you want to learn how to be a really good, successful coach.
Can you talk about, of course, coming back to your alma mater and being the coach at your alma mater?
Yeah. So when I graduated from Wofford, I got an opportunity to coach at Brevard College. Coached there for a year. Um, did some other, was at North Greenville for a year, and then also um, was able to coach some high school football up in Cincinnati. Um, about 6 years ago, Coach Ayers called and said the running back spot would maybe be open if I was interested in it. Talked to my wife, and I don't. It was just an opportunity I don't think I could pass up. It was like everything was kind of falling into line at that point. I'd just been back on campus recently for being introduced into the Hall of Fame, inducted into the Hall of Fame there. So it was like 4 months later, I was able. Coach Ayers called me about coming to be the running back coach, and it just felt like everything was kind of aligning for that moment. So it was an opportunity, and I'm very grateful that my wife was willing to take that leap of faith, and I think it's been a great move for us, and it's been phenomenal for me. I know that.
Can you talk about, of course, the process of being inducted and what it was like to be inducted into the Hall of Fame of Wofford?
Yeah. So, I don't really know the process because I think I kind of got in there because, I was able to play for some really good football teams. And at the time, I think offensively we were ahead of the curve. So I had some numbers that were a little bit skewed, I think. But I was part of I was part of a lot of successful teams during my time there. And, I did a lot of different things in terms of what I was asked to do. And so, as a player, I was, I kind of had to transform from, blocking a lot to running the football to catching the ball. Um, but I think everything that was consistent was I was a part of a lot of winning teams. And, as a running back, I don't think you can ever take any kind of success without other people being involved. And, I think the greatest part of me being inducted to the Hall of Fame was all of my best friends were the offensive linemen, and I truly believe that they feel the same way I feel. That if my name goes in there, their name's just as etched in stone there as well.
Can you talk about, of course, the 2018 and 17 season?
Yeah, so two totally different seasons. We came out in 2017 and played well early, and we would play about 3 or 4 games well, and then we maybe leadership, maybe just inexperience, whatever it was, but that fourth game we wouldn't play very well, and but we beat a lot of the teams that we were that were really good football teams that year, and luckily we had some help from other teams in our conference that year that was able to kind of um, beat up on, I think Furman lost to Citadel that year, and allowed us to be in a tie. But then the 18 season was wild. I mean, we started out, did some things offensively I don't think we were ready for. Started out in a hole, started 0-2. And then it was like our kids just played. They finally just said, you know what, we're going to do what we're good at, and they did, and they knew that we had no room for error, and I mean they played their guts out all year long, and it was just kind of amazing watching that kind of go into fruition in terms of these kids, what they do and how they did it, what was important to them, and we were able to win games by a lot of points against really good football teams that year because our kids they played their hearts out. It was fun to be around, that was for sure.
Can you talk about your time at Brevard College?
Yeah, when I was at Brevard, so that I graduated right out of college, got an opportunity to go there. They were Division II at the time. The head coach there was actually one of Coach Eric's first offensive coordinators when he came to Wofford, Paul. Paul, he was a phenomenal football coach, great mentor. He was at the Air Force, he'd been all kinds of places. And, I think for me, I was able to learn so much about being a coach. He allowed me to learn and grow. It was challenging there because of just financially, you're limited at certain schools in certain parts, but football is important. And so you got to find ways to win and find ways to be over, get around the hump, and be creative to find ways to get guys into school in terms of, how do you sell the school? How do you recruit, because again, at our level, it comes down to, can you get the right people and the right fit for the right school? And Brevard was a little bit different, but it was a lot of fun. I learned how to, to tailor my recruiting to a location where I was at the time. And I think that's important for me to learn at that time, because no school is the same. And what you sell people has got to be, they got to know what they're getting into before they get on campus, so they enjoy what they're doing. They understand what they're getting into.
Can you talk about, of course, whenever it comes to knowing the areas that you're recruiting, as a coach, how do you know what states you are able to recruit at?
Well, I think for us, especially at Wofford, for where we are, we can be pretty centralized. I mean, we don't have to go very far. You're 3 hours from Atlanta, an hour from Charlotte, uh, 3 hours from the beach. And everywhere you go from here, Tennessee, Alabama, everywhere you go from here, east, west, north, or south, there's really good football. And so we don't have to really go and search really far. Our mindset at Wofford's been, let's recruit the Southeast really hard, because, people don't have to drive to a lot of schools to get to us down here in the Southeast, where you start getting up into, the Midwest and start working out west. They have to travel through a lot of different schools that could be similar to us on their way to Wofford. That makes it a lot harder to recruit. But I think for us, being where we are, location wise, has allowed us to be able to recruit, and we have a niche, and I think that niche is a great academic school, as well as a chance to play for championships. And there's not a lot of places in this area that can say that, in terms of getting a world-class education as well as getting to play for championships.
Can you talk about, of course, the championships that you've played for and won?
Yeah, so I've been lucky to be a part of what five championships now. Um, I'm sorry, four. As three as a player and or one as a player and three as a coach, and then also been in the playoffs two more times. And I think for me, um, every one of them's different because of the people that you're involved. You're involved. You go through it with. There's so much up and down. Good and bad that go through those seasons, and so many stories that you remember, and when you see certain players during, you remember, it takes you right back to 2016 or 2018 or 2008, whatever those years are, 2007, whatever those years are, and just remember, you start remembering things vividly, and you remember what those kids had to go through, what the ups and downs were. Uh, if there's things going on at home or things going on in the classroom, you just remember all those things. And now you watch where they are today, and the success that they kind of showed on the football field and in the classrooms kind of coming to fruition with where they are now in their lives. So, I mean, I think, when you look at championship seasons, there's always luck involved. There's always getting hot at the right time or playing complementary football at the right time and things like that, a lot of things have to go right for you to win. And, we've been blessed. And I think it comes down to the type of kids that we have here at Wofford.
Can you talk about, of course, as the running backs coach, what do you look at for running backs as North Carolina and South Carolina close by you have one of the great running backs?
Yeah. So I think, for us, it's everywhere you go, I think I tell people all the time, when you look at Pee Wee football, 90% of the best players are always playing running back. They don't throw the ball at Pee Wee because, you have to be able to throw and catch it. And some guys, you're just not developed enough. So most of the time, those kids are always the best players starting from when they were Pee Wee all the way up. And there's just a lot of talent. And for us, it comes down to the things that you don't see on film sometimes, the character, the makeup, um, because everybody has something and everybody's good. You can go find thousands of running backs. So what's going to separate yourself? And I think for us at Wofford, that thing for me is just your ability to be a difference maker, somebody that is really tough to bring down. We always talk about in the room, we want to be the picture of what Wofford football is. We want to imitate it. We want to be tough. We want to, we want to be people that really, when the game's on the line, they want to give the ball to us, and we're going to make the play, and they know we're going to make the play. And, and that I think comes down through recruiting of getting to know the kids, getting to understand the kids, finding out what their makeup is and who they are. Because again, when you turn on the film, there's all over the country, there's just phenomenal running backs, and it's hard when you're just looking at film. So I think it goes down to digging down to what type of person they are and who they are, what kind of edge do they have. So, I think I think we know what we're looking for. And I think that helps you in the recruiting process.
What is the official visit like at Wofford?
I think for us, we spend a lot of time making sure those kids understand what they're getting into for the next 4 years. We tell them all the goods and all the bads. And if there's anything so when they leave that visit, they have questions that they're answered, that they know when they sign the dotted line, that they know what they're getting into. And, you can't sugarcoat it, because you can't tell a kid that you come in here, it's going to be easy, because it's not easy. You're going to be asked to do more than what average people are going to be asked to do. And whether it's a football player, student, or what, you're going to be asked to be held at a very high standard. And they have to know that. They have to know what they're getting into, and they've got to want to do that. And so our official visits really entail a lot of information, and for them guys to understand when they leave campus, they know exactly what they're getting into.
That's wonderful. Do they also get to try on the Wofford jersey?
Yeah, we do. We do pictures. That's a big thing nowadays with these kids. I think players, they want to put on the uniform and do all that stuff. So we do that. We have laid out a bunch of the helmets and shoulder pads and all that stuff. We take them through all the equipment and all the stuff that they will be getting while they're there. And I think that's important for them.
While on the official visit for running backs, do they get to watch the other running backs run through drills and practices?
Not so much on official visits. A lot of times we'll get them up in spring ball and practices and things like that, and they get to see that. They kind of understand what, we talk a lot about during the recruiting process, what they're going to be asked to do and things like that. And, so they have a good understanding of what they're in terms of drills and plays and schemes and things like that, what they're going to get into and stuff.
What advice would you give upcoming football players that are running backs looking to get recruited?
Well, I think, again, it's, what do you put on film? What kind of relationship are you building with that coach? And then how do you separate yourself? I think for anybody that wants to get recruited, especially a running back, you have to have something that stands out. You have to be, whether it's on the field, off the field, you have to stick out and you have to stand out. And whatever that is, you can go find people all over the country that rush for a lot of yards, and you can go find people all over the country that are big or small or fast or whatever. God has equipped people different ways. And I think for them, they got to find out, one is building a relationship with that coach, and two is, do they fit in that scheme? Do they fit what you do? And, you don't want to spend a ton of time on a place that's not going to be a perfect fit for you with who you are. And that's research and doing and understanding where you're looking to go to school. And, a running quarterback's not going to want to go to a throw the ball or get underneath center and hand the ball all the time, or a quarterback that doesn't run very well is not going to want to go to an option-based school. So, same thing with the running back. If you're a downhill guy, you're not going to want to run a lot of stretch and a lot of outside stuff. You want to be a downhill, back. You want to go to a school that runs that stuff. So, I think doing your homework and understanding what kind of back you are and doing some self-assessment and kind of looking at yourself and doing research, I think that's important.
That's wonderful advice. What advice would you give upcoming football coaches looking to get into college football?
Well, I think it just is. It's like anything else. It's high demand, but little supply. And so there, anytime you get that, there's going to be, everybody's looking. Everybody's always looking for the next best thing. And if you want to get at this level and you want to stay at this level, you better do a good job and you better win. So you better focus on what you have right now and grow and learn as much as you can and become the best coach you can be at that position and at that time, at that place, wherever you are at that time, moment of time. And that's the most important thing, because once you stop paying attention to that and you start thinking about, well, I want to get to here, I want to get to there, that's when you stop doing the best you can do for the players that you've recruited at that school. And it shows. Those kids don't want to play for you. They know you want to leave. I've learned that you grow where you're planted, and you better enjoy it. So it's but you're never too big to do anything. If you have to make coffee every morning, you make coffee every morning. It doesn't matter if you're the lowest of the lowest on the totem pole or the highest of the highest. You got to do whatever you can to help that team and help your coaching staff and help your players be the best they can be.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the Wofford football program at?
So, at Wofford football, FB, and then mine is at Coach_Romero 18. I'm only on Twitter. At Wofford football is on both Instagram and Twitter.
Thank you again, Coach Dane Romero, for your interview, and best of luck as the running back coach at Wofford.
All right, thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best of luck.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.